Hello, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Lindsay Allen. I am with the ADOA or ADOA Association. Also with us today from our association is Teresa Steinman. We actually owe Teresa a huge thank you. She was an integral person in putting all of this together for us. So thank you so much, Teresa.
You're welcome.
We also have Haiti here as well, if you want to give a hello. She's with the Cure ADOA Foundation over on another part of the world. So we welcome her as well.
Thank you.
We are thrilled to have everyone here, and we are so excited to dive into learning more about the first ever data collection platform for autosomal dominant optic atrophy. This will greatly help those working on ADOA research obtain the patient info they need when they need it, accelerating the time frame for clinical studies. This is such an exciting step for our ADOA community. And now I'm just going to hand you over to our partners, RareX. They are the leading rare disease collection experts, and they're going to be able to tell you more. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Lindsay. And hi, everyone. My name is Caitlin. I am the Senior Manager of Community Engagement for the RareX data collection program. So I'm going to go through a couple slides and just show you what the data collection program is, how it works, and then how you can get started. In the chat, there is a link that will take you directly to the community page for your community where you can go ahead and get started on your data collection journey. Great. So this officially is the launch of your data collection program for your community ADOA. So what is RareX? RareX is the research program of Global Genes that was created to accelerate rare disease research by removing those barriers when it comes to the collection of data, but also the sharing of data. RareX is a platform that we collect, connect, and share data on. And it is not a replacement for any current research study that might be happening within your disease community. If anything, it's just a great addition to it. So how the patient journey works into the RareX data collection platform. So you all will come in through your patient community, through the community page that is in the chat. That's where you will get started. So whether you are coming to make your account for the first time, or you are coming just to log back in and update your information, fill out more surveys, that is a great page to bookmark and have listed for easy access. When you're first getting started, you will be enrolling in the data collection platform. So going through very basic account creation process. You will then go through terms of use, the patient and caregiver consent and data sharing preferences, and then the head to toe. All of those steps we call the mandatory workflow. That will only happen the first time you create your account. And then from there, you will just always be able to log into the dashboard where new surveys will appear. And then also surveys that you have filled out previously will show up in the completed section. And then when it's annually, they'll show back up on your dashboard to complete again. Here's a quick look at your community page. So like I mentioned, the Get Started button. So if this is your first time logging in, but if you are already logged in and coming back to just see the dashboard and fill out more surveys, you'll hit the blue login button. So what do you need to get started? An email address and to create a password. We have a list of approved browsers here. Google Chrome and Apple Safari work the best. Try not to use Mozilla or Firefox. It's just hard with the platform. It just doesn't really like those browsers, but if you're ever having any issues, you can feel free to reach out to RareX and we can help troubleshoot. And then what you don't need is a lot of time and to finish all at once. So this is not a one and done data collection program. We encourage you to come back in and fill out surveys over time, and it does save your work. So if you don't have the time to sit down for an hour and fill out as many surveys as you can come back at any time and do so. So if you are on your community page and you hit that Get Started button, it will prompt you to go to the Request Access page. So this is where you will be creating your account. It will ask you for your first name, last name, and email. acknowledging if you are at least 18 years or older, and acknowledging whether you are located in the United States or outside of the United States. This is a global data collection platform, so you do not have to be located in the United States to participate in this. It's just saying that if our data is collected in the United States, so it will be transferred to the United States for storage. You can create an account as a patient, you can create an account as a caregiver, and you can also create an account as a person who has lost a loved one. You can check all that apply here. Through the next steps, I will be showing you what it looks like when you create it as a caregiver and how to add a patient on. So here you would select whichever applies to you and then click sign up. You will then receive an email, typically within a few minutes, to create your password. This will only happen the first time that you create your account. From then on out, you'll be able to just log in with your email and password. If you don't receive your email within a few minutes, check your spam or junk folder. Sometimes different email inboxes have different settings, and it will always come from RareX. Once you click on that link, you'll be able to create your password and click continue, and it will bring you to the main login page. You will see this page once you go through those steps, but also anytime you come back in to log in. So you'll be able to sign in with that email address that you signed up with and your password. You can also click forget password at any time if you are having issues with your password. Linked down below is our privacy policy. So Global Gene's privacy policy on how we take the security and privacy of data. And then also linked down below is the terms of use, and you can access these at any time. Once you log in, the first thing you'll be prompted to do is to consent to the terms of use. So Matrix is the technology platform that we host our data collection platform on. So this is just saying how like the technology site works when it comes to data collection. So once you read through that, you can click accept. It will then bring you through the informed consent. So if we created the account as a caregiver, you will be filling out the consent as the caregiver. You will do so for the patient at a later point. But if you are filled it out as a caregiver, just make sure the name's matching who you filled it out for. So this will go through 8 pages of detailed Q&A, ensuring you understand how the data collection program works and why it is set up the way it is. All of these questions and answers here, you can select the learn more for an expanded version of the answer. Down below, once you've gone through those 8 pages, it will ask you why you are taking part in this data collection platform. So if you had created your account as a caregiver, you could select the option here. You are the parent or caregiver of a person with a rare disease. If you are the patient, you can select you have the rare disease. All of these can be, check all that apply. So if you are both a caregiver and patient, you can select those as well. Down below, we'll ask if you would like to be contacted by RareX for any follow-up research studies. So if a researcher reaches out to us wanting to start a clinical trial or do a different type of study with your community, all of that will happen through RareX. So no researcher will ever reach out to you directly. They will come to us and then we will reach out to you. So if you are interested in that, you would select yes here. And if you would like your patient organization to contact you as well about that study, you would select yes here. All of this can be updated at any point too. So let's say you aren't comfortable being contacted, you can select no and change your mind at any point. It can be updated. You will then sign the informed consent. So if you did enroll as the caregiver, you'll just want to make sure you're completing your legal first and last name. And then that will bring you to your general information. So this will be asking, your address, your country, date of birth, phone number, all for the caregiver. This information will be collected both for the patient and caregiver. There are some questions here such as race, ethnicity, gender identity, biological sex at birth. All of these are a drop down and they give different answers, and there is always the prefer not to answer option. So all of these questions are required, but you can select prefer not to answer if you would like. Down here, you'll see this question for estimated household income. We receive a lot of questions as to why we're asking that and why that is a required question. So there is the answer to prefer not to answer, but we have received some researchers that are interested in doing studies based off of socioeconomic background, demographics, stuff like that. So feel free to say prefer not to answer if that is how you'd like to answer, and you can always change this at any time too. Once you've gone through those steps as the caregiver, this is where you would add your patient. So if you had enrolled as a patient, you would just go through the steps as a patient. But for this situation, we have enrolled as a caregiver and we are going to add our patient. So once you go through the informed consent and data sharing, you will be brought to your dashboard here where you'll see this add patient button. You can add as many patients as you'd like that are applicable to your situation. There is no limit on how many patients you can add. Once you add your patient, you will go back through those same steps of the informed consent, but filling it out on behalf of the patient. So just making sure that you are saying you are the parent or caregiver of a person with a rare disease and signing for the patient. The general information and demographics section will be the same as well. There are just two separate answers that are only for patients. One being, do you have health coverage? Once again, those are prefer not to answer is always available. And it is for the researchers that are curious on doing research based off of demographics. The most important section of this general information for the patient is to select their rare disease. So your disease is listed in the dropdown, and that is what connects your community all together. All of this information and general information, such as your address, date of birth, all of that, all of the data that researchers will be receiving is de-identified data. So they will never see your name listed next to that. It will just be, patient, whatever your patient number is on the back end and where you're based out of. Going through the data sharing preference agreement for patients, you will be able to say how you would like your data used. So this is really where you all will get to own your data and own who uses your data and have a say in that. So if you would like your data shared with the most amount of researchers as possible, you would select the general research option. If you would like to limit it to researchers doing research for health, medical, or biomedical research, you can select that here. If you're wanting, your data shared with the most amount of people as possible, I would recommend the general research because that is where, they'll be able to see your data. You are able to put other limits on your research. So if you would like researchers solely for non-commercial purposes, you can add that as well. And only research that has been approved by an institutional review board, an IRB. So an IRB is just the governing body over research, and most researchers do have IRBs. All of this can be updated at any point as well. So you can just put whatever you're comfortable with to begin with and update it as you go. They will also ask you questions about if you've had biospecimens collected. So you can select yes or no here. And if you're interested in the collection once it's available. You do have the option to share your data, your contact data with your community. So no researchers will ever have access to your contact information, so first name and last name or email, but you are able to share that back with the patient advocacy groups that are in charge of this data collection program. They will be going through data ethics training, so they will not be able to connect it back. They will simply just get a list that lists first name, last name, and email. And really the goal of that is to be able to support you all when it comes to support and advocacy, and also giving you updates when it comes to the data collection program and the data that's coming out of it. So if you would like your information shared, you can select yes. If you do not, no, and these can be updated at any point. And same if you would like your data summarized on the data dashboard that the patient advocacy group leaders would have access to. You can select yes or no here. It will ask about genetic testing. So at RareX, we do have a team of genetic counselors that are able to go in and curate your genetic reports. So pulling out the genetic information and connecting it to your full data set. So that is 100% de-identified as well. So you do have the ability to upload those reports here. If you select no or unsure to having genetic testing, there still is another place you can upload it at another point. So don't feel like you have to have it right away. It can be uploaded at any point. Yep. So if you select no, you can upload it at another point. Next, you will go through the main survey, which is the head to toe survey. This is where we're collecting on all systems of the body. So it will literally ask you questions from your head to your toe about symptoms that the patient might be experiencing. These are very, very vague and very just generic questions. And this is where all of the branching for additional surveys comes off of. So and for every yes or unsure, you will then receive an additional survey about that specific symptom. If you select no, you will not. So for example, has the patient had issues with head, face, or neck? Yes or unsure, you will then receive a level 2 survey for that. Once you've gone through the head to toe, you will be brought to your dashboard. Always check which patient or caregiver you're viewing up in the left-hand corner. So you can see here that Bridget is the caregiver and Kiefer is the patient. So everything you're seeing on the dashboard will be for Kiefer as the patient. This is what your dashboard will look like. It will list out all the surveys that are applicable to you based off of how you answered the head to toe survey. It will list the survey name as well as the time to complete and the number of questions. The time to complete is a very conservative amount of time. I'd say they probably take half that amount of time. So just when you're planning on how many surveys you're going to fill out at once, definitely look at that. This is a look at what some of the level 2 surveys look like. So what specific eye vision issues has the participant had, and at what age did these issues begin? So this goes more into detail of specific issues that pertain to that symptom. Do you see the symptom, the age that the symptom first appeared, and the age of diagnosis? This is super important, especially as we're tracking the progression of symptoms. So over time, so this is a survey that you'll want to fill out more than once. It will auto-populate back to your dashboard annually. So don't feel like you have to keep track of when the last time you filled out the survey. It will pop back up and you will receive an email to fill it back out. Up in the right-hand corner too, there's the X button. So you can close out at any time and it will save your work as you go. Down at the bottom of level 2 surveys, there is a please describe box. So if there's any specific issue and or symptom that has not been covered, we ask that you put it here and just try not to include any identifying information in this text boxes. So say the patient has this symptom instead of saying she or the patient's name, just so we try to keep that de-identified. One of the high priority surveys that I want to point out is the diagnosis survey. So this pulls from whatever diagnosis you select in the dropdown. So if you have more than one rare disease and you select, 2 different diseases, it will all pull to the diagnosis survey. So it will be asking about any subdiagnosis you might have based off of your diagnosis. And just note that throughout this survey, you'll see the word you. You always refers to the participant with the rare disease. As you fill out surveys, they will show up on your completed tab on your dashboard. You can view and retake any survey at any time. You can also email them to yourself. So you can download them as a PDF and email them. Once you retake a new survey, it does not replace the existing survey that you have already taken. So for example, here you can see the health and development survey was taken in June and then again in August. It just shows up as 2 instances, and that's how it will show up for researchers on the back end. If you have any questions or technical issues along the way, we have a full-time support line that is here to help. So if you're having an issue getting onto your dashboard, or you're just worried about why you're receiving this specific survey, please email our support line and we are happy to help.